The day before my unit was set to SRP, my section sergeant told me to get my medical records so that for the next day. And I told him that I wasn't going to do that because I wasn't going to deploy to Afghanistan. And so the next day at formation, I didn't have my medical records. The building where SRP was going to take place was up on a hill, and there was a deck right outside of it, a large deck. And so we were all just hanging out there, and then my first sergeant came up to me and said, "Hey, Agosto, where are your medical records?" And I told them, "They're in my room, First Sergeant. I'm not going to Afghanistan." And then he got really upset, and then he said, "Go to the company," and pointed out to, in the direction of where the company is, which is several blocks away. So I'd have to get in my car to go over there. So we're on this large deck, and so I start to go down the stairs on this hill to get to the parking lot. And as I'm making my way across the field down there, my first sergeant says, "You've got 10 minutes to get your medical records." So then I kind of stopped walking towards the parking lot, and I stood at parade rest, and I told them, "First Sergeant, I'm not going to Afghanistan." And so he was pretty livid. He stormed across the deck over to the stairs, and as I saw him coming downstairs, I got at parade rest because that's the position you're supposed to stand at when you speak to a non-commissioned officer. So I stood there and waited for him, and he said, "Agosto, go get your medical records." And then I said, "I will not, First Sergeant." He said, "Agosto, go get your medical records." And I said, "No, First Sergeant." He said, "Specialist Agosto, go get your medical records." And I refused again. And so at this, he just kind of turned around and went back up the hill and stuff. When my first sergeant came down and started saying all these things to me, like, the entire company could see what was going on because they were up on that deck and we were down there. It was almost like if we were on a stage, so everybody saw what was happening. And later, one of my friends told me that was the most amazing thing he had ever seen in his time in the Army. Another non-commissioned officer came down to try to talk some sense to me, and it didn't work. Later, I read his blog, which he blogged about this whole incident. And he said that he thought that my first sergeant was going to choke me out when I was in the field, and said that I wasn't going to deploy to Afghanistan. I really wouldn't have been too worried about him trying to get physical with me, but yeah, I could sense. Yeah, he was very angry about it. Since he had told me I had 10 minutes to go and get my medical records, I wasn't sure if I should just go to my room or if I should just wait there for the 10 minutes to expire. And so basically what I did is I just waited there 10, 20, 30 minutes. I updated my Facebook while I was sitting on the tree, by the tree. And it was getting close to lunchtime, so I called my section sergeant to ask him for clarification as to what I should do now that these 10 minutes expired, and that I didn't really know what to do, what orders to obey at this point. And he didn't answer, so I left him a message and told him that I was going to go to lunch. And so I just left, and I didn't come back to work that day. I didn't know if this counseling statement was going to make a huge difference in what was going to happen to me. Like, if this somehow made my refusal legit, and maybe then they could haul me off to jail or something. So, and basically the counseling statement says that I am to deploy with the unit in July of '09 to, in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. And it was pretty straightforward. There's a block in it that you're supposed to sign, and you can leave remarks in it. And so I just felt, well, I don't know, it was kind of an impulsive type of thing, but I put that there's no way I'll deploy to Afghanistan. The occupation is immoral and unjust. it doesn't make the American people any safer. It has the opposite effect. And so, like, I have pretty bad handwriting. And I was just nervous, so I started writing this down, and then my hands started shaking, and I was just, oh gosh, let me get all this stuff on here. And then I started trying to use large muscle groups because I really couldn't rely on my wrist to do that. And then nothing really happened. He just there was my copy and there was his copy. And so as soon as I had this, I took it back to my room in the barracks and I scanned it and I posted it on Facebook. And it would be the first of many counseling statements and documents that I posted on Facebook throughout this whole thing.